I've been looking at my investment portfolio lately, and I noticed something that felt a bit unsettling. It wasn't a market crash or a sudden dip in the tech sector. It was actually the opposite. Everything looked fine. My broad market index funds were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. They were tracking the market, capturing the average return, and slowly ticking upward. But as I sat there, I realized that I had reached a bit of a plateau. For the last 2 years, despite earning more than I ever have, my net worth felt like it was stuck in a very specific range, somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000. No matter how much I seemed to funnel into these safe index funds, the needle wasn't moving with the velocity I expected. It's a strange feeling. You do everything right. You stop picking individual stocks because you're told it's gambling. You ignore the crypto hype. You put your money into the S&P 500 or a total world fund and you wait. But then you hit a point where the math starts to play tricks on your motivation. You're not poor, but you're certainly not wealthy yet. You're in that middle-class financial purgatory where you have enough to lose, but not enough to change your life. My name is Tom, and I spend way too much time thinking about the hidden psychological traps of passive investing. If you're someone who feels like you're doing everything the correct way, but you've lost that spark of financial momentum, consider subscribing if this video helps. Let's break this down because the danger of index funds isn't about the funds themselves, it's about what they do to our brains. We are taught that index investing is the set it and forget it solution. And while that's mathematically sound for the long term, it creates a massive blind spot in the short term. It can lull us into a state of financial passivity that actually makes us more vulnerable. Think about it this way. If I decide to invest $1,000 a month into an index fund, I'm essentially outsourcing my financial intelligence to an algorithm. That's great for efficiency, but it's terrible for engagement. When I first started, every $100 felt like a victory. But now, if I have $70,000 invested and the market drops by 5%, I lose $3,500 in a week. That is more than my monthly savings rate. Suddenly, my hard work at my job feels decoupled from my progress. Let's look at a real-world scenario of how this stalls us out. Let's say I'm earning $75,000 a year. After taxes and basic living expenses, I managed to save $15,000 last year. I'm feeling good. I put that $15,000 into a standard index fund. At a 7% average return, I'm expecting about $1,000 in growth over the year. But here is where the almost there psychology kicks in. Because I have that safety net, I start to feel a sense of wealth creep. If I decide to increase my spending by just $400 a month, maybe a slightly better apartment or a nicer car lease, that adds up to $4,800 a year. Now, look at the trade-off. To make up for that $4,800 in extra spending through my investments, I would need an additional $68,000 invested, assuming a 7% return. By making a small lifestyle choice today because I feel safe with my index funds, I have effectively pushed my retirement or my financial freedom date back by years. Most people don't realize this, but the safety of index funds often acts as a permission slip for lifestyle inflation. We think I'm investing, so I'm covered, while we simultaneously sabotage the very bridge we're building. There is also this concept of opportunity cost blindness. We are told to invest and forget it, but that advice assumes that our income is fixed. If I am so focused on my 7% return from the market, I might miss the fact that my biggest asset isn't my portfolio, it's my ability to earn. Here is what happens if I do this instead. Let's say I have $20,000 sitting in cash intended for my next index fund contribution. If I just dump it in the fund, I'm looking at an extra $1,400 a year in gains. But what if I spent $5,000 of that on a specialized certification or a business venture that increased my salary from $75,000 to $90,000? That $5,000 risk yields a $15,000 annual return in income. That is a 300% return on investment. Yet, the index fund mantra often scares us away from betting on ourselves because we're so obsessed with market consistency. We become collectors of shares rather than builders of value. We're so afraid of missing out on a 1% market day that we miss out on a 20% income jump. Now, this is where it gets interesting, the danger of the loss aversion trap. When I had $5,000 to my name, a market crash didn't matter. I had nothing to lose. But if I reach $150,000 in index funds, 20% correction is $30,000. For many of us, that represents 2 full years of disciplined saving. I felt this myself. You start checking the apps more often. You become more conservative in your career because you don't want to jeopardize the engine. You stop taking the risks that got you to the $150,000 in the first place. This is a comfort trap. The index fund, which was supposed to be a tool for freedom, starts to feel like a fragile glass house you have to protect. Let's walk through another numerical walkthrough because this one hits home for anyone in their 30s or 40s. Let's say I'm earning $100,000 and I've successfully saved $100,000. I'm at the legendary first 100K milestone that everyone says is the hardest. The common advice is that once you hit $100,000, it's easy. But let's look at the actual math of a plateau. If the market stays flat for 3 years, which happens more often than the 7% average charts suggest, and I keep contributing $20,000 a year, I'll have $160,000 after 3 years. However, if inflation is running at 4%, the purchasing power of my original $100,000 has dropped to about $88,000. In real terms, I've worked incredibly hard to save $60,000 of new money, but my total wealth power has barely moved. This is the hidden erosion of index investing. If you aren't actively increasing your contributions to outpace inflation and flat market cycles, you aren't actually moving forward. You're just standing on a moving walkway that's going backward. Common financial advice says to cut the coffee or stop eating out to find more money to invest. But let's be honest, that is a rounding error. If I save $5 a day on coffee, that's about $1.8 thousand a year. If I invest that for 30 years at 7%, sure, it's $180,000. It sounds like a lot, but what is the cost of that 30 years of restriction? If that daily ritual is what keeps me sharp or happy enough to perform at a high level in a job that pays me $100,000, cutting it is a terrible investment. The frugality at all costs mindset that often accompanies index fund obsession can lead to massive burnout. I've seen this in my own life. I'll go through a phase where I'm tracking every cent, and by month 3, I'm so exhausted by the mental accounting that I end up making a massive impulsive revenge purchase that wipes out all the savings I made from the coffee. The real danger of index funds is that they provide a false sense of completion. We think we've solved money, but money is never solved, it's managed. If I'm earning $60,000 and saving $10,000, I'm doing better than the average American. According to the Federal Reserve, the median household savings is significantly lower than that. But if I stay at $60,000 for the next 10 years because I'm waiting for the index funds to do the work, I'm ignoring the reality of the World Bank's data on global living costs. The world is getting more expensive faster than a 7% return can often compensate for, especially when you factor in housing and healthcare. Here's what's actually happening. We are using index funds as a psychological shield to avoid the harder work of increasing our value to the marketplace. It is much easier to buy a share of a company than it is to lead a team, learn a high-value skill, or negotiate a 20% raise. You might relate to this, that feeling of checking your brokerage account 3 times a day as if your focused gaze will make the numbers go up. It's a form of productive procrastination. We feel like we're doing something financial, so we don't have to do the actual scary things that grow wealth. Let's do one last scenario. Imagine I have 2 paths. Path A, I invest $15,000 a year into my index funds and I don't focus on my career. I get 3% cost of living raises. After 10 years with a 7% market return, I have about $220,000. Path B, I invest only $10,000 a year into the index funds, but I use the other $5,000 for high-level coaching, networking, or starting a side project. Because of that investment in myself, my income grows by 10% every year instead of 3%. By year 10 in Path B, my income is significantly higher, and even though I started with a lower investment rate, my investable surplus is now $40,000 a year instead of $15,000. The Path B version of me will roar past the Path A version in the second decade, and more importantly, I'll have more skills and more options. The danger isn't that index funds will crash to zero. They won't. The danger is that they make us boring. They make us passive. They make us settle for a 7% life when we are capable of 70% growth. So what's the move? It's not about stopping your index fund contributions. I'm certainly not doing that. It's about reframing what those funds are for. They aren't your wealth creator. They are your wealth preserver. Your wealth creator is you. Your brain, your time, your energy. When you hit a plateau, when you've been at $40,000 or $70,000 for a few years, don't look at the market for the answer. The market doesn't care about your goals. Look at your income ceiling. Look at your lifestyle inflation. Look at whether you've become so afraid of losing progress that you've stopped making progress altogether. Reaching a milestone like $100,000 is 20% math and 80% psychology. It's about having the emotional intelligence to realize that the middle of the journey is the most dangerous part. It's where the novelty of saving wears off and the final wealth is still too far away to feel real. If you're in that middle ground right now, I want to hear from you. Where are you feeling stuck? Is it the income side, or is it that feeling of wealth creep making you feel like you're running in place? Drop a comment below. I read as many as I can, and it helps me figure out what we should break down next. If this perspective gave you a new way to look at your portfolio, hitting the like button really helps the channel. And subscribing ensures you don't miss the next deep dive. Money is just a tool, but it's a tool that requires a sharp operator. Don't let your index funds put you to sleep. Stay engaged, keep increasing your value. And remember that the best investment you'll ever make isn't a ticker symbol, it's the person staring back at you in the mirror. I'll see you in the next one. Would you like me to do a deep dive into how to calculate your personal internal rate of return on career investments compared to the S&P 500?